Good afternoon, people. So I hope we are aware that we have 2 hours class today. So that's because we have divided the group in two parts. No, it is only for today. Do you understand how it feels that you have wind up the first group at 3:15? You're again coming at 3:30 and you're exactly repeating. मुझे डेजा भयंकर वाला हो रहा है इस वक्त मैं बताओ अभी बस थोड़ी देर पहले आई वाज सेइंग उससे पता क्या है इट्स जस्ट दैट कि we will have to do on one day we'll be able to finish one lecture only, and in that case we will require minimum 20 days to wind up. But if in one day we do two lectures, because I cannot take 4 classes, right? I can at max take 2 classes. And if we take 2 classes, it is in your benefit only that we will be able to wind up in 12, 13 days, because we have as in 15th August is there, then 19th August is there, then 26th August is there. So on the beta Janmashtami. Okay. So then if you want to wind up the course, and the pace can also go slow if we are taking combined batch, so we can keep the pace slow. But in case we don't combine the batches, then what will happen, that slightly pace would have to be increased. Ultimately आपको तो बात समझने से मतलब है ना, ठीक है? So let's see. अगर नहीं possible होगा तो हम divide ही रखेंगे. But if it is a possibility, then we'll try so that we can cover at least a substantial portion. अब 2 घंटे में hardly कुछ हो पाएगा. So you are also coming for the class, and in 2 hours, not much would be taught. So then it would be a challenge for you guys as well. But anyhow, let's see. So we'll start with caste system, but today what is the situation is we are not discussing the answers to the question I gave yesterday. I'll take those questions, the discussions हमने दिया था ना, child labor, the negative consequences, or the sex ratio, child sex ratio, all those questions I'll discuss in the later lecture. Today, let me complete some portion of the topic from the syllabus. It's an important topic. The probability of asking a question is there, and one question can be asked. Okay. Now, as far as caste system is concerned, the first and foremost, let's start with the concept of the caste system. It is defined as a system of social stratification which consists of hierarchically arranged closed endogamous strata where membership is ascriptive, contact is restricted, and mobility is theoretically impossible. These are few of the keywords in the definition. Definitely, if I get a question in the exam, I'm not going to write such detailed definition. Otherwise, the answer would be over in just defining what is caste system. So we are not going to write such a detailed definition. It is for our understanding. I'll reiterate what I have written. It is defined as a system of social stratification which consists of hierarchically arranged closed endogamous strata where membership is ascriptive, contact is restricted, and mobility is theoretically impossible. Now, In yesterday's lecture, we did discuss what is stratification. That it all starts with hierarchical arrangement. And once you are arranged in a hierarchy and there exists different access to socio-political economic resources, it is referred as stratification. This is what we discussed. Take care. And then we concluded that how gender can be a basis of stratification, how caste can be a basis of stratification. You have upper caste, you have lower caste. Upper caste, by their positioning in the caste hierarchy, has better access to social, political, and economic resources. So undoubtedly, in our context, caste is a basis of stratification. And stratification as a concept automatically involves hierarchy. If there is stratification, there has to be hierarchy. So only after the layered arrangement, you have different access to resources. So it is a system of social stratification which consists of hierarchically arranged, but the most important point here is closed. Now let us suppose you have Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Now these are 4 stratas in the society. There is a hierarchical arrangement. Now if this is one strata, I am saying this is closed. That means no new member can be added and no member of this group can leave. Closed ka matlab, if this is my strata, it is closed. So it is not open to movement. So neither you can enter my strata nor anyone from my strata can leave. So if you are born into a caste, you will die in that caste only. Because there is no movement which is allowed. It is perceived that the caste is a closed system. Now, how do we maintain that closeness? The first thing is endogamy. You have to marry within your own caste. Inter-caste marriage is not allowed. Why? Because I want to maintain the closeness. Second, it says membership is ascriptive. And if you remember, I said ascriptive is by birth. So that means that if you want to be a member of that caste, you have to be born into that caste because movement is not allowed. Then it says any kind of contact is restricted. Why? There is no contact between Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra because we want to maintain the closeness. And finally, mobility is impossible. Neither upward mobility nor downward mobility. But then we have added a word, theoretical. That means in real life situation, mobility does take place, which I'll discuss later. But as of now, each and every term of the definition is clear. So are we clear with what caste system is all about? I'll tell you a different definition while we are discussing how to answer the question. So as of now, this is my caste system. Now, just for our understanding, एक disclaimer दे देती हूँ. The questions will be asked from this portion. This is not for the question answer thing. It is only to give a build up so that we can answer these topics. Now, just for our understanding, there can be 2 models with respect to caste system. Varna model and the Jati model. It says Varna is basically defined as a book view, or it can be defined as a textual view. Something which is defined as a book or textual view, matlab it is found in your scriptures. It is found in your texts. Or let it put in a very simple word, Varna is mostly a theoretical conceptualization of caste system. How caste has existed in theories. तो टेक्सुअल व्यू है, किताबों में लिखा है that caste is basically nothing but varna system. So there is arrangement of broadly 4 varnas in a hierarchical manner, and that is Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So it is a book view. It may not be the actual ground reality. It is existing in our scriptures. So if something is a book view, just for our understanding, That means there exist different theories or perspective as far as that conceptualization is existing. So what happened was that before independence, abhi jo caste census hua, anyway it was not released. So prior to independence, once caste census was being conducted. So at that point of time, everyone was trying to figure out what is that one time period when caste might have originated in context of the Indian society. But at that time, there was a thinker, his name was D.N. Mazumdar. You don't need to remember, I'm generally saying. D.N. Mazumdar said when 1931 caste census was being conducted, there was at max 5 theories that they referred to in order to identify what possibly could be the factor responsible for origin of caste system in India. What we are trying to say is there is no one theory. There is no one perspective. So if what we are discussing in the class, you might be knowing some other perspective about the caste system, but we can't negate that. Jitni muh utni baatein. Let us put it this way. Because there is no one single theory which has been unanimously accepted by all as far as the origin of caste system in our context is concerned. For example, there is one theory which is commonly heard of. For example, if you've heard of divine origin theory. So there is this one perspective जो मोस्टली अगर आपने यूपीएससी नहीं भी किया है तो कहीं ना कहीं ये सुना होगा, डिवाइन ओरिजिन थ्योरी, विच इज फाइंडिंग इट्स मेंशन इन पुरुसूक्त हाइम ऑफ ऋग्वेदा, that Brahma ji once self-destructed himself. From mouth came the Brahmins, from arm it was Kshatriya, from thighs Vaishya, and from feet Shudra. So that is one theory which I think largely people have heard of. So that is nothing but divine origin theory. Now, in this theory also it is said it is a symbolic description that Brahmaji self-destructed himself and from different body parts, the different stratas have emerged. Largely, it is attributing to the occupation that you perform. So, although this description is symbolic in nature, but in real life, what it specifies is the different occupation or the qualities which have been possessed by the people of different strata. So, let it put it this way, qualities and duties. So this is nothing but signifying the occupational division which is existing based on the stratas that you belong. So that is nothing but divine origin theory. Yahan tak clear hua? ठीक है. Then there was another theory which was mentioned, that was karma and transmigration of soul. This was another theory which said, if I am born into this caste, whichever caste it is the retribution of my past karma. If I have done good karma in my previous incarnation, I will be born into higher caste. And if I have committed bad karma, then I will be born into lower caste. So that is your karma factor. Then it says that if I'm born into this caste, whichever caste it is, I accept the caste system and perform all my obligations as per the rules of the caste system, then it is like fulfilling my dharma. It is like fulfilling my duties. So whichever caste system you are born into, the rules have to be accepted as a part of your dharma. And if you perform your dharma, it will be considered as a good karma. And based on that, in the next cycle, you will be born into upper caste. So that is also one of the theory which is being used to define how caste system has operated in the society. And this is actually one of the reasons why for many years lower caste have not raised their voice against the discrimination. Because they believe that they are born into this caste as a part of retribution of past karma for which there is no respite. Is that very clear? Only when there were certain leaders which emerged from their community, made them realize that you have been discriminated, only then movements with respect to their self-respect, temple entry, all those movements or the constitutional changes, they had emerged much later. Is that very clear? So are we clear with karma and transmigration of soul? There is another theory which existed, that is occupational theory, and it was put forward by Nesfield. Nesfield, scholar hai. It was believed that the only purpose of Varna system was occupational division. So Varna hierarchy was created only with a sole intention and purpose, that is to divide the occupation in the society. And that is why this theory is known as occupational theory. Is this very clear? In fact, ये कहा जाता था कि पहले टाइम पर, मतलब before this concept of caste got consolidated, prior to that, कोई monopoly नहीं थी. That even if it is the priestly class, so it was not the monopoly that if you are performing certain educational role or you are doing the sacrifices, so there was no monopoly of a certain section. But as the time proceeded, there was certain section which started establishing their monopoly with respect to that particular occupation. And as a result, Varna classification got synonymously used with respect to occupational division of labor. Is this clear? See? The next theory was racial theory. And it was put forward by Risley. Risley said, Acha, do you understand? We are not agreeing or disagreeing with any of the theory. That's not our job. It is being given to us, and which we are just trying to create an awareness that how Varna model has persisted in the society. Now, Risley said that there was a section who was known as Indo-Aryans. They had migrated to the society from Persia. They came from Persia. Okay? They basically indulged into what is known as, ये समझते, marrying within your own community. So endogamous alliances, because they always wanted to maintain that separation. And not only they did that, they also had, how should I say, removed from any kind of social and religious activities the non-Aryans were kept excluded. So one, they indulge into endogamous alliances, and whatever were their social activities, religious activities, they always kept non-Aryans excluded from here. So can you see the divide in the society was getting explicitly visible? And what these Indo-Aryans did, who came from Persia, they wanted to maintain their ideas as well as their purity. So in order to maintain their ideas, in context of Persia, there was fourfold classification which existed. One was priesthood, second was the class of warrior, third was the class of cultivators, and fourth was the class of artisans. Can you see the same idea was replicated? Priesthood, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So priesthood, warrior class, cultivating class, and as well as artisans. So again, it's a perspective of Risley. That Indo-Aryans who migrated to our context from Persia, they wanted to maintain their ideas and purity. So in order to maintain their ideas, they had replicated this fourfold classification in context of this society. And in order to maintain their purity, they indulge into endogamous alliances, and they kept non-Aryans excluded from their religious and social activities. Are both the points clear? And this gave rise to fourfold stratification, which is mentioned under Varna classification. Till here, is it clear? There was another perspective. Color theory. Because literal sense mein Varna means color. So it's said that the society is divided into two Varna. Fair complexion, dark complexion. Aryas and Dasas. Theories. There are more theories. We can go on and on and on. But these were the 5 theories which were referred at that time, which was highlighted by D.N. Mazumdar. There is one very interesting theory that is known as charismatic endowment theory. Sirf sun lo, just listen to it as a story so that you have some idea that how there are different perspectives with respect to Varna system in our society. So that theory is known as charismatic endowment theory, which says every individual is born a Shudra. And they consist of 3 qualities. That is Satvik Gun, Raj Gun and Tamsik Gun. Whichever gun or quality dominates your personality, you end up belonging to that strata. So if Satvik Gun dominates your personality, you are going to become a Brahmin. If Raj Gun, then it will be Kshatriya. If Tamsik Gun, it will be Vaishya. But in case you only have Tamsik Gun, then you will continue to remain a Shudra. So according to charismatic endowment theory, caste is not ascriptive, it is achieved on the basis of the quality. इसको गुणा theory भी कहते हैं. And if you try to trace the analogy, the Plato's concept of justice, wisdom, ruling class, courage, military class, temperance, the economic class. Did you get the point? ठीक है, तो perspective है. There is one more theory. That is broken men theory by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So there are multiple perspectives as far as caste or the Varna classification is existing. Broken men theory, I'll make a reference in some time. But till here are things clear. ठीक है, तो अब ये अपने आप में it is a very debatable topic, but even then it is said कि ये जो conceptualization of Varna था, see how it unfolded in our society, that's a different story. But when this concept was conceptualized, the idea was to ensure social organization by means of economic cooperation. The purpose was not to establish a discriminatory system. The idea was to ensure social organizing the society. And how to organize the society? Through economic cooperation. So by nature, it was not discriminatory, but later how it got practiced, it resulted into discrimination. So is the book view clear till here? On the other hand, what we have is the Jati model, which is referred as field view or a contextual view. It is believed that it has empirical validation because it is existing on ground reality. तो field view का मतलब है you have conducted your field studies and based on that you have arrived at this conclusion. एक तो क्या हुआ scriptures पढ़कर, जो books में लिखा है वो पढ़कर बोला. दूसरा क्या हुआ, you actually went personally on the ground. You conducted your studies in the village areas where you actually observed how caste is unfolding, how caste notions are practiced, and based on that you have arrived at the conclusion. So that is referred more like a contextual view or more referred as a field view. Is that very clear? Now it is said that Varna system has distorted the picture of caste. as at max it provides macro structural framework which is existing on pan-India basis. ये माना जाता है कि वर्ण सिस्टम इज नॉट द रियलिटी. Our understanding of caste system has been distorted because of Varna system, because we only understand one division, that is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So it is said ki fine, it provides you a macro structural framework that broadly kaisa lagta hai caste system. But in reality, if this is my one Varna, within that Varna, there exist multiple jatis. Within that one jati, there exist multiple subjatis. And even within these subjatis, there is further division which is existing. So to be honest, exactly we don't know how many number of jatis, but there has been an approximation. Somewhere around 3,000 jatis. And then people say, conduct caste census. See, there is a rationale behind it. We need to conduct caste census, but then it has been highlighted, how will you conduct it? Because many a community don't even know which jati they belong to. There are many communities which are in the very fluid stage. Fluid stage samajhte? That you exactly don't know that in the society at which positioning your jati stands. So, क्योंकि क्या होता है ना, if this is my society, there is different arrangement. Do you realize it is very relative to each other? It's a very fluid arrangement. There is a relative positioning of the jatis. Now, in which society, at which position a jati has been placed, there is lack of clarity on that also. So it becomes a very complicated issue to actually codify that what is the standing of multiple jatis in our context. But then this is the reality and how it is being practiced. Now, इस पे एक point link करती हूँ, समझने की कोशिश करना. यहाँ तक clear हो रहा है? There are multiple jatis. Now, just now we talked about, अभी हमने caste system पढ़ा नहीं है, but we have used the term endogamy. That means you have to marry within your caste. I'm just telling you the extent of the situation. Let us assume this is my upper caste. This is my lower caste. Ideally, the situation is that you have to marry within your own caste. But let us suppose you are not able to find an appropriate match or something. Then there are some situations where inter-caste marriage is allowed. For example, male of upper caste can marry female of lower caste, and this marriage would be known as Anulo. It is still possible that a male of upper caste is marrying the female of lower caste. But under no given circumstances, female of upper caste can marry a male of lower caste, because this is known as pratiloma marriage, and it is believed that the offspring of pratiloma marriage will constitute the class of untouchables. Theory hai. This is the belief that anuloma marriage is still allowed, but pratiloma marriage is never allowed, because they believe that the offspring of the pratiloma marriage will constitute the class of untouchables. Now just hold. ये तो एक aspect हो गया. If I say honor killing happens for pratiloma marriage, will we understand the concept? Honor killing, have you heard of this practice? ठीक है? Honor killing never happens for anuloma. It always happens for pratiloma. But the extent is, ये एक वर्ण है. वर्ण में ये एक जाति है. ये सब जाति है, सब जाति में फर्दर डिविजन है, इसमें भी मैरिज अलाउड नहीं है. This will also be considered as upper or lower caste. तो हो सकता है कि आप एक वर्ण को बिलोंग कर रहे हो, आप समझ रहे हो कि आप सब वैश्य हो, आप सब ब्राह्मण्स हो, बट उसमें भी फर्दर डिविजन एग्जिस्ट करता है. वो आपको पता चलेगा अगर बाय चांस अरेंज मैरिज होती है एंड बाय डेटा गेट्स प्रिपेयर्ड, देन यू विल गेट टू नो दैट व्हाट इज द एक्चुअल क्लासिफिकेशन. ये बहुत बाद में पता चलता है दैट वो बोलते हैं ना हम उच्च कोटि के, हम ये, फिर बाद में पता चलता है इस कम्युनिटी में तो हमने समझा था कि सारे, हाउ शुड आई, लेट्स नॉट टेक स्पेसिफिक एग्जांपल्स बट यू विल अंडरस्टैंड. सो द पॉइंट हियर इज दैट even in the subdivision also it is considered as upper and lower. Is it making sense for everyone? ठीक है. So that is the reality how it is being practiced at ground level. तभी कहा जाता है कि वर्ण picture has distorted the actual picture of caste. कि सिर्फ fourfold division नहीं है, there is multiple divisions which are existing in the society. Is it making sense for everyone? ठीक है. So our concern is the jati model, because that is how it is being practiced. So if now we have to define caste system, we will say caste is a social system based on principle of purity and pollution. That is how it is practiced in the real life situation. Caste is a system which is based on the idea of purity and pollution. You give me some time, I'll make you understand what we are discussing. So it is defined as a social system which is based on the principle of purity and pollution. And based on that, there are three characteristic attributes. One is hierarchy. Second is separation of contact. And third is occupational division of labor. So caste is a system which is based on principle of purity and pollution, and based on that there is threefold arrangement: hierarchy, separation of contact, and occupational division of labor. Now let me first explain this. Okay. See, there is no objective definition of purity and pollution. It's a very relative concept. It is said whichever section is dominating in the society, their attributes, characteristic feature, it becomes the sign of purity. Let us assume Brahmins were dominating. So pure vegetarianism, non-alcoholism, bathing on a daily basis, wearing clean clothes, wearing that white thread, it all became the sign of purity. And everything other than that became the sign of pollution. So it was believed that based on purity and pollution, caste system is organized in the society. And how it is organized, that pure is pure in comparison to impure. So pure will have better status as compared to impure. And that is why first characteristic feature is hierarchy. So based on purity and pollution, you are arranged into hierarchy. And polluting is polluting because when you compare it with purity. So this is a very relative concept. Pure का अपने आप में कोई अस्तित्व नहीं है. It has no individual existence. Pure is pure only when you compare it with something which is polluting. So for example, vegetarianism and non-vegetarianism. Veneration of cow or so matlab respecting cow, and the other, you know what it is. So the point here is, so that is how pure and impure. So did you understand the point, hierarchy? Then another perspective. अच्छा, कोई मुझसे ये नहीं पूछेगा कि is this मतलब rational or not, क्योंकि वो हम डिस्कस करके खुद ही समझ जाएंगे whether it is rational or not. ठीक है. We are no one to debate on this topic that why this emerged. It has already emerged. Agar hamara point of discussion hona chahiye, it should be how discrimination needs to be tackled now. What has happened has happened. Okay. Now the second point says they believe that this concept of purity and pollution is very contagious. So if a pure person comes in contact with impure person, the purity will be lost. So they believe there has to be a separation of contact. In fact, there was a time when impure, as in the lower caste, was asked to tie a vessel around their neck so that their spit also do not fall on the ground. There are strict rules with respect to exchange of food and water. Even residential segregation exists. The core of the village habitated by upper caste and outskirts were habitated by the lower caste. Why? Because they wanted to maintain a separation of contact. Many a times it used to happen that the people of lower caste were asked not to come outside of their home during daytime, because even their shadow should not touch the upper caste people, because upper caste believe their purity will be lost if they come in contact with the impure people. So these people used to come to work during nights only. So that is how it has persisted in the society. Now don't ask me what is the rationality. The only thing I could think of is that a certain section of society may be trying to impose their hegemony over others. So because other than that, this purity pollution concept may be. Anyway, but is this point clear for everyone? Separation of contact. Third thing, they believed that even if you belong to pure community, you also indulge in certain tasks which may be impure. For example, human excreta. That's a nature's call. Usme caste ka koi lena dena nahi hai. That will come, right? So they believe that if you belong to the upper caste and you are indulging in human excreta, that is a polluting task. There has to be someone from the lower caste to absorb that pollution. And it gave rise to what is known as manual scavenging, because occupational division of labor. It is perceived by them that death is impure. So all the last things which are committed or performed on the cremation ground, it is being done by a section of society which belongs to a particular community. Why? Because it is believed those pollution has to be absorbed by them. So it gave rise to what is known as occupational division of labor. Similarly, giving birth to a child, the process of giving the birth, the delivery process was considered as polluting. So it was believed there was someone from the lower caste to absorb that pollution. So the concept of midwives, the concept of dai, the one who used to conduct the delivery, often those female belong to the lower caste. Why? And all of this resulted into occupational division of labor, which persisted over generations. Now, where you can use this understanding, I'm just giving the empirical validation. When Swachh Bharat Mission 1.0 came, the issue was constructing of the toilets. So when those period was over, the toilets were constructed, everything. So then the survey was done and it was asked, what is the problem? So it was found that although toilets are constructed, but people are not ready to use them, because they believe human excreta is polluting and household toilets should not be constructed, because household is a pure territory. So you should not construct toilets within your household. It should be somewhere outside. And there has to be someone from the lower caste to absorb that pollution. So still what they practice is known as manual scavenging. So with respect to Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0, the major emphasis is on changing the behavior of the people. And that behavior will not change until and unless attitude with respect to purity and pollution undergoes a change. Is it making sense for everyone? Second example, it's been 10 years, manual scavenging has been prohibited. Untouchability abolish हुए तो जमाना हो गया. I'm talking about abolition of manual scavenging. And no one is allowed to recruit anyone in the capacity of manual scavenger. तो ये act आया था 2013 में, Manual Scavenging Abolition Act. अब उसमें क्या हुआ? There is a provision. Let us suppose this is a manual scavenger. I have to stop manual scavenging. I identified the person, I as in the state, withdraw the person. Now they have to sustain themselves. So you will rehabilitate them. So then it was decided, let us give them 10,000 rupees cash assistance, one-time assistance, so that they can use or utilize that money for livelihood opportunity. So then they decided, let's become a street hawker, as in the street vendor who are selling fruits, vegetables, whatever. So it was found if the local people know the caste to which you belong to, they refuse to buy fruits and vegetables. Why? Because there exists separation of contact. The rules for exchange of food and water are very rigid. So it is said that kacha food cannot be purchased from a person who belongs to lower caste. अब क्या हुआ? You have given them assistance. They are trying to look for alternative livelihood, but other members are not enabling them to, utilize that opportunity. So in order to sustain themselves, they go back to manual scavenging. So manual scavenging has been abolished, but the official data of Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment says 56,696 you have manual scavengers. ये official data है. तो unofficial कितना होगा? ठीक है. So the point here is still it is being practiced in the society. Is it making sense for everyone? Is it clear for everyone? Now, you might have done your case study. And one of the case study, which was asked by UPSC also, said that the food was being cooked by Dalit cook in midday meal. And the children of upper caste refused to consume that food. Why? Separation of contact, and the mindset is still governed by purity and pollution. So until you don't change this mindset, the caste will remain an ingrained component of Indian society. So what is being practiced on ground is caste is a system of stratification based on principle of purity and pollution, based on which it has three characteristic feature: hierarchy, separation of contact, occupational division of labor. Did you understand the ground reality now? ठीक है, तो examples लिखो. For example, with respect to Swachh Bharat Mission, comma, abolition of manual scavenging, or midday meal cooked by Dalit cook, midday meal prepared by Dalit cook, etc. It will not be addressed until and unless attitude with respect to purity and pollution undergoes a change. Attitude with respect to purity and pollution undergoes a change. Now just hold. यहां तक पढ़ा तो society. How to change the attitude is ethics. So till here it is society. Now how to change this attitude? Persuasion. Within persuasion, Aristotle ka perspective, foot in the door, that's not all technique. All of that becomes the ethics part. So society provides you the ground, the fodder. Ethics is basically using to bring about the change. Is it making sense for everyone? Can we proceed? Okay. Now, the second thing is, in general, the features of caste system. That's the beginning point. Features of caste system. Innate nature, hierarchy, commensality, endogamy, occupational division of labor, disability and privileges, caste councils. So features of caste system. Innate nature means you are born into your caste, you die in your caste. So it is innate. It is an ingrained part. You can't change your caste. So innate nature. Second is hierarchy. This we already know. Commensality is rules of interdining. People of different castes do not interdine together. Remember in ethics I made a statement, भात खा के कोई किसी की जात नहीं पूछता. If you have food together, that means you are not bothered about the caste. Because if you are bothered about the caste, you will practice commensality. People of different castes don't interdine together. Caste has very strict rules with respect to interdining. So that is why it is known as commensality. Then occupational division of labor and endogamy is clear for everyone. See? Disability and privileges say that caste mein na, we don't discuss positive negative. Because caste is a positive phenomena for upper caste people. It's a negative phenomena for lower caste. So it is a matter of privilege for some. It is a matter of disability for many. So we always talk in context of disability and privileges, yeah, overall change in the caste system rather than discussing positives and negatives. Because that does not define the gravity of concept as it is being practiced in our society. And to ensure that every caste rule is strictly followed, what we have is caste councils. For example, Khap Panchayat. So these are the caste councils which are existing to ensure that everyone is following the caste rules so that caste system can persist over generations. And this is one of the reasons why it is still persisting in the society. Because if you think of digressing from the established caste rules, there exist caste councils. And although they might not have any legitimacy, especially in the eyes of the court, but even then, in the eyes of society, they have the legitimacy. So whatever directives are given by caste councils, they are unanimously accepted by all those who are belonging to that caste community. Is that very clear? Although, for example, agar main Khap Panchayat ka hi loon, the Supreme Court has already declared them that they are not legally valid. Okay? But even then, people, they agree, they follow the directives of Khap Panchayat. Is that very clear? Yahan tak clear hai? Okay? Now, from here, you will not be getting the question, but now the topics that we are discussing, we will be getting the questions. So we'll start with transformation of caste system. If you remember the yesterday's lecture, when I was discussing impact of British rule, I said that diagram will come very handy in future lectures. The diagram will remain the same, the content will undergo a change. So if I have to discuss the transformation of caste system, it starts with what is traditional caste system. So it was based on principle of purity and pollution. It had 3 characteristic features: hierarchy, separation of contact, and occupational division of labor. फिर ये forces of change है, and then we'll start the discussion. लिख लो, फिर बात करते हैं. I think we can start. We'll borrow some content from yesterday's lecture. We said because of industrialization, there is emergence of caste neutral jobs. That means you will get the job based on your skills rather than on your caste. Which aspect is getting impacted? Occupational division of labor. So the first point under contemporary reality is that industrialization leads to emergence of caste neutral jobs which challenges occupational division of labor. ये पहला पॉइंट है कॉन्टेम्पररी रियलिटी का. क्योंकि ये ना हो कि पता चला डिस्कस कर लिया और फिर आपने पूछा कि व्हाट टू राइट इन कॉन्टेम्पररी रियलिटी. सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट पॉइंट दैट यू आर गोइंग टू राइट इन कॉन्टेम्पररी रियलिटी. Second is urbanization, and we discussed that how urbanization is associated with urbanism. Urbanism gives rise to heterogeneity and anonymity. Are these terms clear? And because of anonymity and heterogeneity, there is emergence of secular pattern of living, where we are no longer concerned about each other's caste. For example, you visited a restaurant. Will you ask the waiter to call the chef to know their caste? To decide, जाओ भैया अपने शेफ को बुलाओ, देखते हैं उनके हाथ का बना हुआ खाना खाना भी है कि नहीं. So the point here is that's because we are not concerned. Anonymity hai. And see, there is anonymity in the classroom, and that is why, irrespective of our socio-cultural economic backgrounds, we are sitting together preparing for a common examination. So when people from different community come together and they are coexisting in a peaceful manner, that society is known as heterogeneous. So we are not a homogeneous society, we are heterogeneous society. And based on heterogeneity and anonymity, it has given rise to secular pattern of living, where we are living with each other, irrespective of our cultural differences. Which aspect is getting impacted? Separation of contact. So that is my second point under contemporary reality. That urbanism is giving rise to secular pattern of living, which is challenging separation of contact. यहां तक clear है सबको? Even at the back, are we understanding what we are discussing? Is it clear? ठीक. Next is modern value system, which is actually based on the idea of rationality. Rationality, that is scientific temper. Or logic. Anything can be used. So modern value system, it promotes rationality. Which aspect is getting impacted? अब क्योंकि वो एक बचा है. It is not challenging hierarchy, it is challenging hierarchy based on purity and pollution. Hierarchy is bound to happen. No two individual, even if we are given the similar opportunity, same opportunity, that does not guarantee that the outcome would be same. So hierarchy, if it is based on your achievements, it is still acceptable in the society. But if hierarchy is based on something on which you don't have any control, it is based on something which is written in the scriptures, which is being accorded to us by our birth, which we cannot change. So then it is not considered as rational. So if hierarchy is based on race, ethnicity, gender, caste, religion, you have no control over that. Is that very clear? So then it is said that modern value system, it challenges hierarchy which is based on purity and pollution. यहां तक क्लियर है? अब सपोज करो क्वेश्चन आता है ग्लोबलाइजेशन का इंपैक्ट ऑन कास्ट सिस्टम. कैन आई से ग्लोबलाइजेशन गिव्स राइज टू इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, ग्लोबलाइजेशन गिव्स राइज टू अर्बनाइजेशन, ग्लोबलाइजेशन गिव्स राइज टू मॉडर्न वैल्यू सिस्टम? इज द आंसर विजिबल? ठीक है, तो बस इतना सोचना होगा एग्जाम में कि ये जो पॉइंट्स लिखे हैं, दीज आर नथिंग बट द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेज ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन. सो यू कैन लिंक इट विथ ग्लोबलाइजेशन. यहां तक क्लियर हुआ? Now let's start with role of state. But before we start, एक बार quickly just go through these 3 points. And is it clear for everyone? सबको clear हो रहा है? The first step which the state took was reservation. And because of reservation, it provided opportunity of upward mobility to people of lower caste with respect to higher education, government jobs, political participation या representation. एक एक करके समझेंगे. Provided opportunity of upward mobility to people of lower caste with respect to higher education, government jobs and political representation. We get reservation in these 3 capacity only: higher education, government jobs and political representation. ठीक है, इतना लिखा सबने? Yesterday, I used 2 terms, ascriptive and achieved. And I said ascriptive can also be known as ritual and achieved can also be known as secular. And in secular, I use 3 things: social, economic and political. Now just hold. If I say that this upward mobility offered by reservation is will you understand the meaning? आपको समझ नहीं आएगा तो I'll not proceed. 2 minutes सोचो. Yesterday, I used 2 terms, ritual and secular. I said ritual is something which is based on your scriptures, religious text. That is, by birth you have a status. And secular, I said, the status that you achieve, socio-political, economic. So reservation gives you the opportunity to improve your status with respect to education, that becomes social, with respect to economic, that the government job, that becomes economic, and with respect to political representation, that becomes political. But that does not change the status of your caste on the traditional hierarchy. You still remain the lower caste. So can I say that this upward mobility which is offered, it is with respect to socio-political economic criteria which constitutes secular hierarchy. It is not with respect to ritual hierarchy, because ritual hierarchy is based on purity and pollution. And you are low, are you understanding? The XYZ person is a lower caste. That is why they are getting access to reservation. So that ritual status has not changed. Still, it is the concept of purity and pollution. But with respect to secular status, their positioning has changed. So upward mobility is with respect to secular hierarchy. तो फिर सोचा कि चलो secular status improve हो गया, ritual status कैसे improve करें, क्योंकि अभी भी that is based on purity and pollution. So then it was decided, after you attain upward mobility on secular hierarchy, what people do is blind imitation of culture of upper caste to improve your status on ritual hierarchy, and this concept is known as Sanskritization. देखो, आपको समझ आ गया? What I'm trying to highlight here, नहीं, आए तो नहीं, सारे बेचारे scholars का काम है, हम क्यों credit लें? So they tried to highlight that even if you want to improve your status on ritual hierarchy through Sanskritization, it is always observed, first you have to improve your status on secular hierarchy. So it all precedes, वो कहते हैं ना कि predecessor and the successor वाला point. तो it is always the upward mobility on secular hierarchy which precedes the movement on ritual hierarchy. And this concept of ritual hierarchy is based on purity and pollution. तो अगर हम बोल रहे हैं blind imitation of culture of upper caste, मतलब आप उनके pure attributes को अपना रहे हो and you are discarding your polluting attributes. So chances of improving your status on ritual hierarchy is high. And that concept is known as Sanskritization. यहां तक observation clear हुआ कि what is contemporary reality, that how mobility is happening. ठीक है? Is everyone in the class clear with this? Can I proceed to the next? अभी हम reservation पे ही हैं. Another observation was, let us suppose this is a community, XYZ. It has been given the benefit of reservation. So can we say not everyone has reaped the benefit? It is a certain section among this community which reap the benefits of reservation, and as a result, there was emergence of class within. Recent judgment to introduce creamy layer among SC, ST. और ऐसा नहीं है, it is first time. पहले भी जर्नैल सिंह केस, M. Nagaraj case, court has observed that creamy layer concept has to be incorporated among SC, ST, because among them there is a certain section which is cornering all the benefits of reservation, which has resulted into emergence of class within caste. Is this observation clear? बस लिख लो इसे. That since the benefits of reservation, since benefits of reservation has been cornered by few, it has led to emergence of class within caste. Clear hai? So the first point was reservation, the second point is land reforms. Now don't write anything, just understand. I'll dictate what is supposed to be written. Let us assume at the time of independence, my rural structure, the social and the class structure, it looked like this. We had zamindars, then we had rich peasants, we had middle and small peasants, let us say tenants, sharecropper, landless labor. This is how it looked like at the time of independence. Then first land reform was introduced, that was abolition of zamindari system. We were not against the zamindars. We were against the zamindari system because we wanted that land should be owned by those who actually cultivates the land. That means land should be given to the actual tiller. So when zamindari system was abolished, just using the common sense, which section reaped the most benefits? अब मुंह में बोलते रहोगे तो कैसे पता चलेगा? मुंह की आवाज को बाहर तो निकालो कि क्या कहना चाह रहे. Which section? Rich peasants. So the maximum benefit was actually reaped by rich peasants because no longer they were just the cultivator, they also became the owner. So can I say what they achieved was land ownership, and land was the most important asset. So they emerged as a result of land reforms and they became the owner of huge tracts of land, and because of which they became economically dominating section. क्योंकि लैंड की वैल्यू पोस्ट ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन तो स्काई रॉकेट कर गई थी. So although they emerged because of land reforms, but their position got consolidated because of emergence of green revolution. So not only they were owning large tracts of land, the value of that land has significantly risen. And because of that, they constituted the most economically dominating section of the society. Yahan tak clear hua? Ab rich peasants, they got the support of middle and small peasants because they shared the common ideology. So can I say because of this support, rich peasants also had the numerical strength. नंबर आ गए थे इनके पास. और डेमोक्रेसी में कौन रूल करता है? जिसके पास नंबर होते हैं. So because of this numerical strength, they also became politically dominating. So can I say, irrespective of their status in traditional caste hierarchy, they emerged as the dominating section because of land ownership, numerical strength, and political power. And this concept, as given by M.N. Srinivas, is referred as dominant caste. For example, Marathas, Pattidars, Patel, Reddy, Kamma, Vokalingas, Jats, they are all dominant caste. But do you notice something? That these concepts are regional concept. Marathas in Maharashtra. You have Pattidars, Patels in Gujarat. You have Thakurs in eastern UP. Are you getting the point which I'm trying to say? You have Reddy and Kamma in Andhra. You have Vokalingas. So the point here is it is a very regional concept that is known as dominant caste. And why it is a current news? Because dominant caste is demanding reservation under OBC status. They were always the dominating section of the society. So what has gone wrong today? That they have to demand reservation under backward status. कुछ तो हुआ होगा ना, बिना आग के धुआं थोड़ी ना उठता है. तो कुछ तो ऑब्जेक्टिव रियलिटी होगी ना, कुछ तो लेबर मार्केट प्रॉब्लम आई होगी ना, that they are demanding the reservation. So we'll discuss that issue, but before that, write this. Write down. Land reforms. Due to land reforms, there emerged a section that became dominant due to land ownership, numerical strength, political power, etc. They are known as dominant caste. अच्छा, कॉन्सेप्ट है ये, तो इसको डोमिनेंट क्लास नहीं लिखेंगे, डोमिनेटिंग कास्ट नहीं लिखेंगे, इसका नाम है डोमिनेंट कास्ट. तो यही लिखना है, ठीक है. अगर आप कोई भी न्यूज भी पढ़ोगे ना, दे ऑलवेज मेंशन डोमिनेंट कास्ट. इट्स अ कॉन्सेप्ट, ठीक है. फीचर्स ऑफ डोमिनेंट कास्ट. The concept exists at regional levels. For example, Thakurs in Eastern UP, Pattidars and Patels in Gujarat, Marathas in Maharashtra, etc. Next. इसी में कंटिन्यू करेंगे. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. They act as a watchdog. And protector of the culture in the region. They act as a watchdog and protector of the culture in the region. Third, they also act as an agent of justice. By solving both inter and intra-caste conflicts. They also act as an agent of justice by solving both inter and intra-caste conflicts. Next. They also serve as a model for Sanskritization. See, Sanskritization mein you imitate the culture of the caste which is dominating. So it may not always be Brahmins. It may be dominant caste. So now they will act as a model for Sanskritization. ठीक है? Next. They also play the role of pressure groups. To draw the attention of the government to draw the attention of the government towards the neglected issues. Towards the neglected issues. However, due to crisis in the labor market, they are demanding reservation. Due to crisis in the labor market, they are demanding reservation under OBC status. Now you need to tell me, did you understand dominant caste? Are the examples clear? Role of dominant caste in the society clear? Okay, now just hold. In the flow chart, I gave you a current contemporary issue, why dominant caste is protesting. I will cover that issue here itself so that the chronology is maintained. Okay? So give the heading, why dominant caste demanding reservation. Why dominant caste demanding reservation, and just make this diagram, which I'm making. On one hand, I've written traditional feature of dominant caste. Agricultural community hai. It has emerged due to land reforms. Position got consolidated due to green revolution. However, not all of them reaped much benefits of education. Contemporary reality mein, same agriculture is in crisis. Lack of alternative employment opportunity due to globalization, obsession with city life. फिर अर्बन एरियाज में क्राइसिस है, क्लोजर ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज, श्रिंकिंग ऑफ पब्लिक जॉब्स, आउटसोर्सिंग ऑफ जॉब्स एंड स्क्यूड सेक्स रेशियो. उसकी वजह से डोमिनेंट कास्ट इज फीलिंग रिलेटिवली डिप्राइव्ड, बोथ ड्यू टू अपर कास्ट एज वेल एज लोअर कास्ट. अपर कास्ट से इसलिए क्योंकि उनको लगता है दे कांट कॉम्पीट विद अपर कास्ट इन प्राइवेट जॉब्स ड्यू टू लैक ऑफ एजुकेशन, एंड दे फील दे कांट कॉम्पीट विद लोअर कास्ट इन गवर्नमेंट जॉब्स ड्यू टू लैक ऑफ reservation. So now they are facing relative deprivation both with respect to upper caste and lower caste. इतना लिखो, मैं समझाती हूं. और जब यूपीएससी की तैयारी करते हैं तो हम पर्सनल नहीं होते. So even if you belong to any section of the society, even with respect to gender, ethnicity, class, caste, religion, visualize yourself as UPSC aspirant only. क्योंकि जब तक objectively you will not visualize, you can't give answer which has both pros and cons. Because आप अपना personal interest seek करने लग जाओगे. So if you have to answer the question, it has to be very objective as a third party perspective. So if, I don't know, I think some people got offended at some point of time because I always have a habit of saying aapka society, aapka constitution, aapke leader, aapki family. That does not mean that I don't treat this as my nation or my society or my constitution or my family. I say it as a very third perspective. ठीक है. But I'm trying to change that habit. But anyway. So when you study caste, just keep yourself out of that purview. Otherwise it becomes difficult. ठीक है. इतना लिखा सबने? ठीक. Now see. Is the traditional part clear? वो तो अभी discuss किया. That they were the agricultural community which emerged due to land reforms. So land ownership, numerical strength, political power, that concept says that they have emerged as a dominant caste. And position got consolidated because after Green Revolution, the significance of land has increased. ऐसा नहीं था that they haven't reaped the benefits of education, but many of them could not reap the benefits of education. You need to understand, they don't take it personally, I'm generally making an observation. Can I say for us education is not an end? अच्छा, how many of us study for the sake of knowledge? नहीं यार, पढ़ेंगे, बड़ी जानकारी मिली. ठीक है, अगर हम ये करें ना, we'll start enjoying education. But we have always, and it's not our fault, that is how we have been socialized. For us, education is a means to get a good job. So we even choose that field of education not because that's a concern or an interest. That's because it may have a better job prospect. And when you get job, you don't look for job for the purpose of satisfaction. You look it only from the perspective of income generation. So if you are getting income generated, then you are happy. You'll try to be happy, if not satisfied, right? So now the point is they already had that end. उनको पैसे तो वैसे ही आ गए थे ना, लैंड ओनरशिप थी. So the need to get access to the education was not prevalent among all. But I'm not generalizing. There were some who reaped the benefits of education. But many of that did not understand the significance of education or did not even try because there were other means of generating income. So as simple as that. But in today's time, the same agriculture has come under distress. It is in a crisis situation. And if agriculture is in crisis, if there would have been any alternative opportunity, then also it would have served, but then there is no alternative employment opportunity. So in total, there exists what is known as rural crisis. Now let us suppose these people, They got obsessed with city life and they moved to the urban area. But then urban area is also undergoing a crisis. It was observed that prior to 1990s, ये बहुत पुरानी कहानी है, prior to 1990s in urban areas, big industries used to be there. And these industries used to offer these people jobs, even if they did not have the education. And these people used to be paid also very well. They also had health benefits. They also had social security benefits because they used to have an association known as trade union. So they had better bargaining or negotiating power vis-a-vis the management of those industries. But then we had LPG. And post that, post 1990s, these industries, either they started closing down or they started laying off the workers. Because those labor-intensive industries were now getting automated. Technologies were getting introduced. So as a result, these people were losing out on the jobs. Ab socho, I'm giving you an example. These people working in urban area and big industries earning well. They were also getting benefits. Now they are sending this money to rural area. So in rural area, because of a certain lifestyle, their status is improved. But now these people do not have job in the urban area because industries have closed down. So they have no other option but to move to rural area. But rural area already has a crisis. So now their hegemony is getting threatened. ये पहला point clear हुआ. Now let us suppose they are not the uneducated ones who were working in the industry. Let us assume they were the educated ones. And because of education, they got access to public sector jobs. But now the problem is public sector jobs are shrinking. Because the current motive is saying, or the motto is saying, maximum governance and minimum government. So even the government sector jobs are now shrinking. Not only government sector jobs are shrinking, there is something called, just try to understand, we have globalization and the associated economic ideology is capitalism. Capitalism always focuses on profit maximization. Profit will be maximized if my cost of production is minimized. Cost of production to be minimized, keeping all other factor constant, is only possible when your wages are minimum. In order to minimize the wages, you started outsourcing the jobs, which is nothing but informalization of labor market or contracting out of jobs. The data says that in 2004-05, approximately 3.6 million jobs were outsourced, which has increased to 7.1 million in 2015 or 17-18. So the point is, it is almost double in a span of 10 to 12 years. So what is happening is outsourcing of the jobs. And it is not happening only with respect to private sector, even the government sector. Indian Staffing Federation says 45% of the central government jobs has now been outsourced. तो वो जो permanent nature of government jobs होता था, that is also declining. Is that making sense for everyone? क्योंकि फिर क्या होगा, अगर permanent nature of job होगा तो फिर pension देना पड़ेगा, सोशल सिक्योरिटी बेनिफिट्स देने पड़ेंगे. तो उन्होंने आउटसोर्स करना शुरू कर दिया कि सपोज करो कि टेंडर्स नहीं होते हैं कि यू इशू द टेंडर, देन विच एवर कंपनी अप्लाइज फॉर इट, देन यू गिव देम द टेंडर ऑन द मिनिमम पॉसिबल कॉस्ट एंड नाउ इट इज देयर जॉब. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जैसे लेट अस से क्लीनिंग ऑफ द ऑफिस, तो पहले क्या होता था, उसके लिए आप परमानेंटली रिक्रूट करते थे. अब आपने वो किसी क्लीनिंग एजेंसी को आउटसोर्स कर दिया. आपने सिक्योरिटी का काम किसी एजेंसी को आउटसोर्स कर दिया. तो अब आपको परमानेंट बेनिफिट्स देने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. सो दैट परमानेंट जो एक मेजर यूएसपी हुआ करता था गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर का कि इनकम सिक्योरिटी वुड बी देयर, दैट हैज ऑल्सो बीन dwindled. इज दिस वेरी क्लियर? No, on a serious note. So what is happening is that permanency wala concept is getting dwindled. But is the point of outsourcing of the jobs clear? Okay. Now again, it is not my observation, but it is true also. Christopher Jefferlot का एक article आया था, in which it was mentioned that skewed sex ratio is one of the major reason why dominant caste is demanding reservation. Let us suppose this is a community where there are 100 boys in the marriageable age, but the girls are only 20 because वो female feticide, infanticide, then not taking care of their nutrition. ठीक है, तो वो सारे issues थे. तो as a result, in the marriageable age, there is only 20 girls. Now, demand and supply, the major basic economy. So now the bride family has an upper hand. Now these people want a secured future for their girls. So now they are looking for those grooms who have government jobs. But government jobs, because their number is shrinking, so people believe that if they don't have access to reservation, they will not get access to government jobs, without realizing reservation is only a means. It does not guarantee that you will get a government job. But then skewed sex ratio is one of the major factor. Is it making sense for everyone? ठीक है, क्योंकि सबको सरकारी नौकरी वाला लड़का तो चाहिए. ठीक है, तो कहते हैं ना कि मतलब दूसरों के लिए गड्ढा खोदोगे. पूरी जिंदगी पेट्रियार्की was being practiced. You wanted to become the major breadwinner. You wanted to have the domination with respect to all the decisions. Now it is backfiring. Now you have double pressure. One, to look fair and handsome. And second, to be the main breadwinner. If I put it in a very serious note, there was a documentary which I was watching which said that there are now boys in the age bracket late 30s or 40s, early 40s, who are still not married. And the reason was they did not have secured, stable job. And because of which they were not preferred as a partner in the marriageable age bracket, and because of which now their age has increased, but they are still not married. But issue is not limited here. Issue is because of this, they are also being mocked and ridiculed by the society. Because it is being put on them that just because you do not have the government job, you are not even considered as a potential groom in a marriage society. Is that very clear? And isko agar hum serious context mein dekhen, to it has lot of social disruptions which are getting created. This not only is leading to depression, anxiety, choosing to die by suicide, mocking, ridiculing in the society, but it will also increase violence against women. It is also increasing the social divides or the cleavages in the society, where people are actually demanding reservation on various criterias without realizing no matter how much you get reservation, if the job market doesn't have jobs, what will you do of that reservation? Agar har saal paper to the point nahi, matlab serious, agar paper leak hoga, करप्शन होगा, और रिजर्वेशन करके भी क्या कर लोगे? कोई फेक सर्टिफिकेट लेके बनवा के चला जाएगा. आप क्रीमी लेयर के सर्टिफिकेट के भरोसे बैठे हो कि आप क्रीमी लेयर में नहीं आते हो, कोई क्रीमी लेयर वाला फेक सर्टिफिकेट इनकम का बनवा के ओबीसी के बेनिफिट्स लेके चला जाएगा. और ये मैं नहीं कह रही, जस्टिस रोहिणी पैनल हैज सेड 1% of OBC has cornered 50% of the reservation benefits, and 20% of OBC have still not benefited even single thing from the reservation issue, clause. So the point here is Justice Rohini panel says this. So reservation might be a necessary condition. It is definitely not sufficient. Uske against, if we have better education, if we have better skill development, our skills are matching to the demand of the labor market, there is more job, the ecosystem for startups have been created, agriculture is made more lucrative, the chances of labor market crisis to be resolved would be more as compared to just demanding reservation. But iske liye kya hota hai na, ek representative chahiye. इसके लिए क्या होता है? प्रेशर ग्रुप, सिविल सोसाइटीज, दे हैव टू वर्क, पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज नीड्स टू रेज दीज इश्यूज. बड़ा मुश्किल से तो इस बार इतने सालों में एक ऑपोजिशन आया है. सो नहीं, मतलब टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, डेमोक्रेसी इफ इट डजंट हैव टू टर्न इनटू अ टायरनी, यू नीड सम ऑपोजिशन. नहीं तो थीसिस का एंटी थीसिस बनेगा कैसे? तो देखो क्या होता है. इट इज टू अर्ली टू स्पीक, बट एनीवे एटलीस्ट कोई बात रखने वाला तो आया है. अब कैसे रखेंगे, क्या होगा, वो बात की बात है. बट दिस इज हाउ इट हैज टू बी कंसिडर्ड. इज दिस वेरी क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? ये डायग्राम क्लियर हुआ सबको? स्क्यूड सेक्स रेशियो क्लियर हुआ? ये न्यूज़पेपर का आर्टिकल था. Why are Marathas mobilizing now? So what we have done is, We have covered all the points from this article, but I have added more points. उसका reason है, जैसे ये article एक particular sociology के professor ने लिखा, and it is very with respect to Marathas. But हमारा topic था dominant caste, और जो Christopher Jefferlot का point था, that was with respect to Jats. तो वो बहुत डोंट टेक इट अदरवाइज, मतलब उन्होंने विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू एक पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी स्टडी करी थी, और वो भी आर्टिकल इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में आया था, तो वो वहीं से उठाया गया था. ठीक है, सो आर दे मेकिंग सेंस? अब देख लो, वही सारे पॉइंट्स हैं. स्कॉलर्स हैव एट्रीब्यूटेड द फॉलोइंग रीजन: एग्रेरियन क्राइसिस, assertion of OBCs in rural urban local bodies. So there is crisis of domination. The hegemony is getting threatened. The two reasons: urban crisis and rural crisis. Finally, both these crises has resulted into crisis of dominance. So ultimately, unless the state increases the share of formal sector jobs, until they expand public educational institution, the Maratha crisis will persist. आज आप एजुकेशन भी सीख नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि जो गवर्नमेंट कॉलेजेस हैं उसमें एडमिशन मुश्किल हो जाता है क्योंकि कंपटीशन टफ है, और जो प्राइवेट कॉलेजेस हैं उनकी फीस इतनी ज्यादा है. सो दैट इज व्हाई दे फील दे आर नॉट एबल टू कॉम्पीट विद अपर कास्ट इन प्राइवेट सेक्टर जॉब्स बिकॉज ऑफ लैक ऑफ education, and they feel they are not able to compete with lower caste in government jobs due to lack of reservation. Is it making sense for everyone? So do you understand how we extract the content from the newspaper? But anyway, is the diagram clear for everyone? अब देखो इतने सारे points होते हैं, आंसर में लिखने बैठेंगे तो 10 marker question आना है. So it is always advisable wherever you can make diagrams. So that will help you to add more content in a limited space. But is the diagram self-explanatory? Are you understanding what the diagram is trying to tell? तो एक last concluding remark लिखो. However, ये डायग्राम बना लिया था ना, बस इसके बाद लिखना है. However, reservation is not the solution. Reservation is not the solution to the problems faced in the labor market. To the problems faced in the labor market due to the following reasons. Due to the following reasons. First, there is decline in government jobs. Decline in government jobs due to maximum governance and minimum government. Maximum governance and minimum government. Second, there exists informalization of the labor market. There exists informalization of the labor market. Third, according to Indian Staffing Federation, 45% of central government jobs are outsourced. 45% of central government jobs are outsourced. Next, according to Justice Rohini panel, 1% of OBC have cornered 50% of reservation benefits. 1% of OBC have cornered 50% of reservation benefits, whereas 20% of OBC have not received any benefits. Have not received any benefits. अच्छा, I'm not making you write the way forward here. Way forward हम एक साथ करेंगे when I'm discussing reservation. तो एक साथ ही way forward हो जाएगा, and whichever question related to reservation is asked, that way forward can be written. Is this clear? एक last लेते हैं. अभी भी हम वो role of state पर ही हैं. The first role of state was reservation, second was land reform, third is Mandal Commission. So let's just discuss Mandal Commission and then we'll wind up. Mandal Commission. Is everybody aware what Mandal Commission report did? So the reservation for OBC groups, ठीक है. Mandal Commission के लिए एक बात कही जाती है, Mandalization of politics. Because post Mandal Commission report implementation, reservation became an ingrained reality. उससे पहले तक फिर भी hopes थी कि every 10 years it would be evaluated, and if considered important, then the period will be extended. But after Mandal Commission का implementation, it became a reality. ठीक है. So there is a thinker, scholar, M.N. Srinivas. He has used a term modern avatar of caste. He said prior to Mandal Commission, caste looked like vertical arrangement in hierarchy where there was a sense of stigma associated with lower caste. People didn't want to associate with lower caste. तो वो ये नहीं कह रहे थे ये सही गलत, वो सिर्फ डिस्क्राइब कर रहे थे. अच्छा चलो, अच्छा एथिक्स पढ़ लिया. एक होता है डिस्क्राइब, एक होता है प्रिस्क्राइब. तो वो डिस्क्राइब कर रहे थे that how in context of Indian society there was vertical arrangement of caste with a sense of stigma. After implementation of Mandal Commission, instead of vertical arrangement, there is horizontal competition for backwardness without any stigma. Now people are competing with each other for backwardness. That you are not backward, I am more backward. आप इस चीज को ना बिल्कुल ग्रेविटी के साथ समझना. Can you see the change in the attitude? That initially we used to look towards upward. That was our reference point, whichever it is. And we were the aspirational community who wanted to improve our status in the society. And let's not put it into that bracket of caste or something. I am just talking in terms of aspiration, that we were trying to improve continuously our status. Now the attitude is that people are okay with being treated as backward. For example, especially after incorporation of EWS. पहले लोगों की अगर सैलरी कम होती थी, they used to fight for more salary. अब लोग कह रहे हैं काश 50,000 कम होती तो EWS का सर्टिफिकेट मिल जाता. नहीं, आप मुद्दा समझ रहे हैं what we are trying to say. I am not saying that someone is doing that. I'm just trying to help you understand that how the perception in the society is undergoing a change. And we need to understand that reservation, even though it is given and it should be given on certain criteria, we are not denying that. But it cannot be a permanent solution to the problem. Because there will always be new inclusions which are happening on different criteria. There is no excluding criteria. अभी तो कोर्ट ने बोला है ना creamy layer introduce कर दो. कोर्ट तो पहले भी बोल चुका है. Whether that will be introduced or not, that is altogether a different story. And there are lot many dynamics which are involved as far as any changes with respect to caste, जो कल की क्लास में पढ़ेंगे. Politicization and casteization of politics. So there is altogether a different story. Role of caste in politics, और इस बार तो यूपी का. So the point here is that role of caste in politics anyway is very important. So we will get to know that how caste related issues ऐसे नहीं solve होते कि क्या अच्छा है लोगों के लिए, क्या अच्छा है party के लिए. So that is how it works. And that is the rule. That's a basic rule. So are you understanding how Mandal Commission has altered the democratic setup here? Right down. Post the Mandal Commission, there was an alteration in the caste system. Post the Mandal Commission, there was an alteration in the caste system where instead of vertical arrangement, with an element of stigma, instead of vertical arrangement with an element of stigma, there exists horizontal competition. There exists horizontal competition for backwardness. There exists horizontal competition for backwardness without any stigma. Horizontal competition for backwardness without any stigma, and it is referred as modern avatar of caste. It is referred as modern avatar of caste. See, I'll again reiterate one thing. We are not saying that do not give reservation on the basis of EWS. We are not saying do not give reservation to dominant caste. ये हमारी debate है ही नहीं. हमारी debate है describe करना why dominant caste is demanding reservation, why EWS was given the reservation, and only one conclusion that reservation might be a necessary condition, but definitely it is not the sufficient condition to solve the problems of labor market. Is this very clear? And we need to understand, until and unless the labor market problems, आप इसका ना spillover effect समझते? स्पिल ओवर लगा के देखना कि एक तरफ हम खुश हैं, डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड की विंडो ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी है, मैक्सिमम पॉपुलेशन इज इन द यूथ, द वर्किंग एज ब्रैकेट. वर्किंग एज ब्रैकेट की बात करें तो करंटली इट इज 60% ऑफ आवर पॉपुलेशन विच इज इन द वर्किंग एज ब्रैकेट. सो इट इज लाइक अ पोटेंशियल. और सोचो इसी वर्किंग क्लास के पास वर्क ना हो, सो द फीलिंग ऑफ रिलेटिव डेप्रीवेशन इज वेरी हाई. और ये अगर गलती से एजुकेटेड यूथ हो जिसके पास जॉब ना हो, तो चांसेस ऑफ रिलेटिव डेप्रीवेशन इज मोर हाई. और ऐसे में गलती से यूथ को पता हो कि हाउ क्राइम कैन बी परफॉर्म, सो चांसेस ऑफ डिलिंक्वेंसी इज वेरी हाई. इज दैट वेरी क्लियर? इज द टॉपिक फॉर द डे क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? तो क्योंकि पहली क्लास को यहां तक पढ़ाया था तो आपको भी यहीं तक पढ़ाएंगे. वट एवर डाउट्स आर देयर, सो वी विल डिस्कस इन टुमारोज लेक्चर.